Okay, we're live and a lot is happening. Straight away we can see that Sndl is unchanged, or rather has just gained 0.3%. Not very much is going on there. I think BBIG is on the move. Let's see. BBIG has gained 31.52%. What could be the news? It's even more. It has actually gained more than what it is right now. At some point it was at 4.129 $1. What was the news? Let's see whether we can get any news. Is it too early for that? There isn't any news. Okay, it was just okay, yesterday. Let's see. Vinco Ventures set state for planned business separation of Cryptide. Okay, that was yesterday. Okay, is that PM 05:23 p.m. Each Vinco stockholder of record as of the close of business day May 18, 2022 receive on the distribution date 1 share of Cryptide common stock for every 10 shares of Vinco common stock held. After the separation, Cryptide common stock is expected to trade on the Nasdaq capital market under the stock ticker symbol TYDE, and Vinco will continue to trade on Nasdaq capital market on the stock ticker symbol BBIG. Okay, so that's an incentive to buy BBIG stock. That is definitely an incentive to buy BBIG stock, you know. So because obviously if you just buy that, if you buy some BBIG stock, you will get some Cryptide stock, and easily you can always sell it for whatever it is. So it's a good incentive. Yes, definitely a good incentive, you know. So moving down, let's see what is going on elsewhere. Let's see if anybody is in here now. Oh yes, good morning, Paul. Oh, you did? Are you seeing what's going on with BBIG? Crypto, they just threw out an incentive there now for people to buy. You know, they're giving out one Cryptide stock for every 10 BBIG stock. I'm suspecting. Okay, that's well, but a lot of people might be construing that as an easy money, because when you buy that by the end of the 18th, or you could just put your money on that 18th, and your name will go down on the record, and then you get free shares which you can always sell for. I mean, it's just free money, you know. Okay, let's see what's going on elsewhere. We have that okay, yeah. Okay, let's quickly have a look at MULN. MULN is down 2.29% in this pre-market session. Okay, yeah, I think today there's one of those losses. Okay, so let's look at IMPP. IMPP is up 3.3% in this pre-market session. No news. CETXP. Oh, did I get that wrong? CETXP. I must have gotten it wrong. I think we have that on Benzinga here. CETXP. Chemtrex. Oh, okay. Chemtrex, that's the one. CETX. It's up 3 Chemtrex up 3.72%. Yes, at some point it spiked. It had a huge spike, so just quite early in this pre-market session to $0.3499. No news. Let's get the volume. 776. Not a lot, but maybe because of the spike it got into the radar. Okay, let's have a look at IRTC. iRhythm Technologies Inc. up 22.76%. What's the news? Okay, Needham leads price target of iRhythm Technologies to 179 from 135 after guidance raise. Retreats buy rating. Okay. iRhythm Technologies loss widens while sales jump in first quarter of this year, 2022. FNKO up 20.63%. Actually more than that before. Just early in the session, the gain was way more than what it is right now. Okay, it closed at 16.72 and spiked to 26.05. So that was a 10% gain, sorry, a $10 gain. That will make it more than 50%. About 50. Close to 60%, if not more. Yeah, so it has cooled off since that time. What's the news? I think it's still earnings. Okay. Chenin Group leads a consortium to invest $263 million in FNKO. FNKO's earnings says sales increase in Q1. Shares sold in pre-market trading. What sort of volumes are we talking about here? 20,534. CCXI Chemocentrics Inc. up 12.53%. Actually was more as well. It was more before. So there are a couple of other stocks in the move. We're going to have a look at them. Okay, let's look at ENSV. ENSV. Oops. And Savco Corp up 5.86%. Was actually more as well before. No news. Volumes, let's see. 5,000 only, for roughly 6,000. CCXI. Let's see. Let's have a look at more stocks on the move and see what's going on there. OPEN, HYZN, GDYN, TWST, ATEC, VRAY, AVLR, PGNY, G, PLYA, TPIC, TBH. Okay, a host of them, a host of shares we are going to have a look at. Okay, but before we get to that, let's see. There are a lot of things going on in the markets and in the news. We obviously know that Elon Musk has enlisted Ellison, Saudi Prince, and Binance to back the $44 billion Twitter buyout. So we know that I think they're now saying he's the temporary CEO of Twitter. So Elon Musk has raised $7.14 billion of funding for his $44 billion buyout of Twitter from investors including Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, crypto exchange Binance, and asset managers Fidelity, Brookfield, and Secure Capital. With the new financing, Musk will have the margin loan he has taken with a group of lenders to $6.25 billion and increase the equity portion to $27.25 billion. The remainder of the purchase price will be paid with debt from global banks. Binance Chief Executive Officer Changpeng Zhao told the Financial Times his crypto exchange will offer Musk almost unconditional support for his takeover of Twitter after a rapid deal that left the parties little time to discuss details. It's more of a blank check, Zhao said after committing $500 million to Musk's bid. The Tesla chief has engaged in a whirlwind effort to secure outside backing to join his bid, despite traditional private equity groups largely eschewing the transaction. The deal would transform Musk, a self-declared free speech absolutist with almost 91 million followers on the site, into a social media baron with control over how millions of people obtain news and information. Saudi Prince Alwid bin Talal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, already an investor in Twitter, will roll 35 million shares into the bid vehicle, with the offer price equated to $1.9 billion stake. Great to connect with you new friend at Elon Musk. The Saudi Prince tweeted. Okay, so the biggest new backing came from Ellison, who is contributing $1 billion. Venture capital business Secure is providing $800 million, and Dubai-based tech investment group Vi Capital $700 million. The QIA Qatar Sovereign Wealth Fund is contributing $305 million on Musk's the first government-backed investment in Musk's bid. Zhao, the CEO of Binance, said that Binance's investment came together in just over a week. Okay. Musk also revealed that he was working to bring in additional equity investment, including billionaire Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey by giving existing shareholders an option to contribute to their shares to the buyout. Okay, so decades of low interest rates now being rapidly unwound created vast fortunes for risk asset holders. The breadth and depth of the wealth is apparent in the group that has agreed to buy Twitter alongside Elon Musk. On Thursday, that was yesterday, the 5th of May, a securities filing revealed that Tesla's chief executive, that's Musk, had more than $7 billion in equity commitments to fund the $44 billion deal from top-tier venture capital firms, multi-billionaires, sovereign wealth funds, and crypto pioneers, as well as more secure operators. A privately owned Twitter may well be a good place to ride out the reckoning in public markets, and it might be fun going to board meetings chaired by the irascible Musk. One new Twitter backer, Binance, the crypto exchange estimated to be worth more than $100 billion, admitted it had done little due diligence. Elon Musk secured $13 billion of debt for the Twitter buyout lent against the company, and then personally committed $33.5 billion to the deal. Originally, the figure was at $12.5 billion margin loan secured against his Tesla ownership. The rest was a $21 billion equity commitment. Yesterday, the 5th of May, the breakdown changed as the loan was reduced to $6.25 billion and the equity commitment raised by the same amount. Okay, Musk, according to filings from last week, sold $8.5 billion worth of his own Tesla shares. Among the bold-faced names and more announced as co-investments are the likes of we mentioned them again, Secure Capital and Anderson Horowitz, Fidelity, and Larry Ellison, the latter who committed $1 billion. Prince Al-Waleed bin Talal of Saudi Arabia said he would contribute his existing shares at a value of $1.9 billion. Some of these firms have principals who are politically aligned with Musk. Still, their presence along with debt investors is likely to force him to run a commercially successful platform and plan an eventual liquidity strategy. Okay, who knows where market valuations will be then? But for this group, it may be comforting that it will not affect their standard of living either way. So let's return and have a look at more stocks and see what's going on. So let's look at Sndl again. Some dire growers. Okay, still just managing a tiny gain of 0.32%. Okay, let's look at BBIG. BBIG, yes, it's just still holding that gain of 32% roughly. It's just that news of planned business operation separation of Cryptide by the 18th of this month. If you are holding if you're holding 10 shares of VBIG, you'll get one stock of Cryptide. So that's easy money. That's how some market participants will cross through it. You can, if you get in on that day, on that 18th, once your name gets on the record, you get that free stock. Okay, let's have a look at IMPP. IMPP is up 4.33%. No news. 207,000 shares have crossed the tape. Okay, let's look at the MULN. MULN is okay, down 1.15%. No news as such, just that loss that they've been talking about. Open Door Technologies up 13.43%. I think it's earnings. Okay, Wedbush lifts price target on Open Door Technologies to $13 from $11 after very strong Q1 keeps outperform rating. Now I guess let's get the volumes if we can. Okay, 166,000 and climbing. HY7, Hyzon Motors Inc. Okay, up 10.26%. Hyzon Motors up on lower than expected Q1 loss. Volume is only 13 shares so far. GDYN, Grid Dynamics Holdings, is up 6.05%. Okay, Grid Dynamics beats by $0.06, beats on revenue, guides Q2 revenues above consensus. Twist Biosciences Corp up 9.18%. ATEC, Alphatech Holdings Inc. up 9.18%. News. Viewray Inc. Okay, unchanged as well. Okay, Viewray celebrates 10 years as the first and only company to offer real-time tissue tracking with automatic beam gating, and will host a launch symposium highlighting the new Meridian A3i features. Okay, that's the news amongst other news. Avalara Inc. up 7.89%. Okay, I think it's earnings outcomes. PGNY Progeny Inc. up 7.77%. No news. Genpact Limited up 7.75%. Okay, Genpact Limited reports result for the quarter ended in March. Genpact Limited reported quarterly adjusted earnings of 60 cents per share for the quarter ended March. The mean expectation of 10 analysts for the quarter was for earnings of 53 cents per share. Revenue rose 12.9% to $1.07 billion from a year ago, Analysts expect $1.03 billion. Genpact Limited's reported earnings per share for the quarter was 51 cents. The mean earnings estimate of analysts had fallen by about 15.4% in the first 3 months. In the last 30 days, there have been no earnings estimated revisions by analysts covering the company. Genpact Limited shares have fallen by 11% in this quarter and lost 27.6% so far this year. The company reported quarterly net income of $96.18 million. PLYA. Okay, Playa Hotels and Resorts up 7.66%. Okay, earnings as well. TPIC. TPI Composites Inc. up 8.33%. Okay, Roth Capital upgrades TPI Composites to buy from neutral, adjusts price target to $16 from $11. PBH. Prestige Consumer also unchanged. Is there any news? Okay, Prestige Consumer beats by $0.02, beats on revenues, guides financial year 23 earnings per share below consensus, revenue above consensus. Yes, if you just joined us, thank you very much. We are looking at a lot of things. Obviously, we're going to talk about what's going on. So we're going to talk about the Fed a bit. Okay, it says here, Fed aggression fails to mask dovish undertones. Let's see. Let's have a look. To mask dovish undertones. Okay, but even as the Fed embraced a much more aggressive approach to tackling elevated inflation, investors detected dovish signals that suggested a less forceful central bank than the financial market had expected. Heading into the meeting, the odds of the Fed delivering a 0.75% rate increase at the forthcoming meeting was creeping higher, as traders bet the Fed would keep all options on the table. When asked about the possibility, Powell in effect ruled out such a big adjustment and instead signaled a half point rates rise at the next 2 meetings. That sent US stocks soaring, with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq both closing above 3% higher. Government bonds also rallied, with the yield on the 2-year Treasury note, which is particularly sensitive to central bank policy, dropping 0.13 percentage points to 2.64%. Okay, do I think that J. Powell entered the press conference that on his list of objectives was to ease financial conditions? I don't think so, says Nathan Sheets, Global Chief Economist at Citigroup and a former Undersecretary to the US Treasury. Okay, I don't think if you were to compare it to other Fed meetings or Fed rhetoric over time, that this was a dovish Fed. But when you compare it to some of the expectations of the market and some of the worries that we're seeing in the market, it was not hawkish. It wasn't as hawkish as some had feared. Yes, it's paying off for you, dude. It's definitely paying off. 1,000 is tidy for one day, man. 1,500 is really tidy for one day. So the stock market rally ignited by the scrap. The stock market rally ignited by scrapping the stock market rally ignited by scrapping the prospect of a larger rate rise and did some of the good work the Fed had accomplished in recent months, according to Aneta Makoska, chief financial economist at Jefferies, as gets to pricing a much more hawkish policy path. Everything is rallying, but the more the market celebrate, the more the Fed is actually going to have to lean against it, she warned. Lisa Saunders, the chief investment strategist at Charles Schwab, added that should it persist and froth return to the market, the Fed will have to go a little bit harder to tighten financial conditions. Powell also stopped short of acknowledging that interest rates would need to rise to a level that actively constrains economic activity in order to bring core inflation running at an annual pace of 5.2%, according to the central bank's preferred metric back in line with the long-standing 2% target. So rather, he only admitted it was certainly possible rates would need to move above neutral in order to tame inflation, but that the Fed can know that today. The Fed can't know that today. He added, however, that if warranted by the data, the Fed will not hesitate to do so. The reality is that they will have to go past neutral in order to slow the economy, said Seth Carpenter, who spent 15 years at the central bank, but is now the global chief economist at Morgan Stanley. The tricky part is slowing it that much without slowing it so much that it tips it over into recession. Complicating matters is what exactly the neutral rate is today. A level Powell admitted on Wednesday was not something we can identify with any precision. Is Bola is going to speak at the end? Oh yeah. Well, it's yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I guess that's a good time to speak on Friday after the market has closed. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I just read that now. It says yeah okay. Paul stopped short of acknowledging that interest rates would need to rise to a level that actively constrains economic activity in order to bring core inflation running at an annual pace of 5.2%, according to the central bank's preferred metric. To bring it back in line with the long-standing 2% target. Rather, he only admitted it was certainly possible rates would need to move above neutral in order to tame inflation, but the Fed can't know that today. He added, however, that if warranted by the data, the Fed will not hesitate to do so. The reality is that they will have to go past neutral in order to slow the economy. According to Seth Carpenter, who spent 50 years at the central bank, but is now global chief economist at Morgan Stanley. The tricky part is slowing it that much without slowing it so much that it tips over into recession. So, and you are saying that they have to go to 2 points over the inflation, which is the inflation is currently at 5.2% annually. The annual pace is 5.2%, and you're saying they have to go to 7. They have to go to yeah. You're saying that they have to go 2 points above that inflation figure. Okay, and you think they won't do that? Okay, let me see. Fed officials broadly view neutral to be about 2.32 to 3% when inflation is at 2%. But some economists argue it is much higher, potentially as high as 5%, given the magnitude of price pressures. Okay, despite that challenge, Powell wavered little from his earlier optimism that Fed can achieve a softer or softish landing, not least because of the strength of household and corporate balance sheets, as well as the historically tight labor market. It just seems like he painted this sort of fictional Goldilocks scenario that is going to somehow fix inflation without the Fed having to overshoot the neutral rate significantly, or maybe not at all. Okay. Yeah, what the Fed is going to do is of late has become the stuff of a lot of people have even said they don't know what they're doing. Some people, I mean, we can even see the topic of what I'm saying here. I'm reading here that they actually think the Fed is actually dovish. Yeah, no doubt about that. They are saving their own skins. Yes. Let's see. Let's see what that's been said here about neutral. Okay, natural rate of interest, sometimes called the neutral rate of interest. Is the interest rates that supports the economy at full employment / maximum output while keeping inflation constant. Okay, so the folks at Fed officials are saying it's between 2 and 3%, but some economists are saying it's actually at 5%. Okay. So before we go any further, let's have a look and see what's going on with stocks. BBIG. Okay, has lost about 1% now. The gain is down 30.74%. Sndl. Okay, down 0.82%. IMPP up 3.83%. MULN is down 1.53%. CETX Chemtrex up 3.72%. FNKO FNKO. FNKO is up 16.63%. CCXI. Chemocentrics up 11.25%. ENSV and FNKO up, okay, that are up 5.49%. Okay, so this brings us to the war in Ukraine. Yeah. Okay, Ukraine. Okay, German-Ukrainian presidents smooth out the dispute over visits. Okay, so Ukraine received more than $6.5 billion in pledges for humanitarian aid yesterday. This was yesterday. It has to be the 4th of May, 2022, at a donors conference in Warsaw, and resolved a diplomatic spat with Berlin that scuppered a planned visit to Kiev by Germany's president. The conference, attended by EU officials and donors, governments and multinational companies, was co-hosted by Poland and Sweden. The Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky told the attendees by video, "Freedom must demonstrate that it protects and provides for people better than tyranny, which has enjoyed a massive flow of money for oil, gas and other raw materials for decades." Zelensky said a Marshall Plan was needed to help Ukraine rebuild after the war. Last month, the Kyiv School of Economics estimated that the economic losses since the beginning of the war were at $564 to $600 billion. At the conference, Ukraine Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said his country has received over $12 billion in weaponry and financial assistance since Russia invaded on the 24th of February. The Ukraine Finance Minister Serhiy Marchenko told the Financial Times in a recent interview that Kyiv needed $5 billion per month in assistance in the near term from Western partners to fill budget gaps. And I can imagine that much of this $5 billion they are talking about is to pay IMF. This is a joke, man. So all these countries are coming and donating funds and all that stuff, but IMF is taking money from them at the back. They can't believe it's unbelievable. The diplomatic fallout with Berlin blew up last month after Kyiv pulled a planned trip to the Ukrainian capital by German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, saying he would not be welcome. Steinmeier's spokesperson said yesterday that he had phoned Zelensky and the irritations of the past had been cleared up. She said that Steinmeier had expressed his solidarity, respect and support for the courageous struggle of the Ukrainian people against the Russian aggressor. Both presidents described the conversation as very important and very good. Okay, so there's more here, and they're also speculating that Moscow is projected to withstand Brussels' proposed oil ban. Okay. what you should know about the EU plan to ban Russian oil. EU proposes, okay, yeah. But in any case, they're saying, yeah, EU leaders plan to impose a bloc-wide embargo on Russian oil, carry political heft, but some analysts believe it will not deliver the intended blow to Russia's economy. Okay, the proposed measure on which was put out there Wednesday. The Wednesday was the 4th of May, to ban oil imports of Russian oil by the end of the year 2022. The plan, which needs the backing of all 27 members, is part of the 6th package of EU sanctions to undermine the Kremlin waging war on Ukraine by hitting the Russian economy. But Sergei Alekashenko, the former deputy governor of Russia's central bank, believes the ban is very powerful. It's not very powerful as a measure, as prices of crude have risen substantially, counteracting the cost of losing the European market. The Russian budget depends heavily on revenues from oil exports, which are accounted for to 1, but the government will break even if Russian producers can still sell their oil for $44 per barrel or more. So sanctions have, at least on the face of it, made it much more likely. Okay, Russia's key current blend, Urals, is trading at $70 a barrel, and though that constitutes a hefty discount compared with Brent, it is far above Russia's budgetary needs. You can see that, and I told you guys earlier on that they keep on the EU sends Russia about $250 million every day. So was it $200 million? How much was it again? They send them. I'm going to find out that what the figure was. They send them that huge sum of money every day, and their balance of payment has, as of last week, was above $250 million. $700 million. The EU sends or remits $700 million to Russia every day. $700 million. And even though they have proposed this ban, they are still paying them, remitting this huge sums of money every day. You know. And at the same time as well, IMF is on the side taking their own interest payments every month. You know. What's okay? Let's see boil. Oh yes, we have something on natural gas. Hold on, we have something there on natural gas. Hold on. Hold your horses. We have something on natural gas. Thanks for bringing that up. It says here, U.S. natural gas prices surge as Europe spawns Russian energy. So, according to the Financial Times, they're saying that the U.S. economy's long era of cheap shale gas is showing signs of fading, with prices hitting the highest in more than a decade, and Europe and Asia are ready to pay more to import American supplies. The Henry Hub natural gas benchmark settled at 8.415 a million British thermal, that's a million BTU, on Wednesday, the 4th of May, more than double the price at the start of the year, and far above the $3 average price of the previous 10 years. So $8.415 per a million BTU units. Okay, that's an increase. That's more than double what it was over the last 10 years. Yeah. So that's some positive. Yeah. So a persistent source of demand plants that liquefy the gas for export overseas. The coastal facilities, a critical piece of Europe's plan to cut Russian supplies after Moscow's invasion of Ukraine, have been running at maximum capacity during the rally. Shale gas producers, whose headlong growth in the 2010s depressed prices and made U.S. liquefied natural gas export projects viable, have also been slow to increase output in response to the market surge. The demand for LNG plants has averaged more than 12.3 billion cubic feet of gas a day, equivalent to 127 billion cubic meters a year since the start of March. About 17% more than last year, and almost as much as is consumed by the US residential sector, according to Refinitiv. More shipments are anticipated this year as Cheniere Energy expands an export plant in Louisiana, and rival Venture Global opens one in the state. The Energy Information Administration forecast LNG exports, which began in the Gulf of Mexico in 2016, will increase another 25% between 2021 and 2022. Gas in the US remains far cheaper than in Europe, where prices were almost $37 a million BTU this week, or in Asia, where it was $23.50. You can see that. So you can see in US, I think the benchmark prices for a million BTU is about 8.415, but in Europe it's already $37 per BTU. This disparity creates an incentive to add more export plants. You can see that US energy infrastructure companies, Next Decade and Energy Transfer, this week announced long-term gas sales contracts for two proposed projects in Louisiana and Texas, respectively. So let's have a look at those two companies and see whether they are publicly traded. That is Next Decade. Yeah, the ban should be the sanctions should be good for Boyle. You know, let's see. You can see the trajectory. Let's pull this off. Let's go to the daily and see what's been going on for Boyle. Yeah, you can see that. You see what's going on here. This is February. Before even this ban, and then yesterday you can see that steep climb. So it cooled off yesterday. I think which day was it? Did it cool off? We don't have the dates on this chart, but this is definitely what happened yesterday, or rather, you can see that since May it's been skyrocketing. As of before that invasion, it was at 26.75. Look at where it is now, 124. $26.33. That was where it was. So with the way it's going, in a few sessions it would have increased by 10 times. It's at 124 now. It's way more than 26.33. Let's do the maths and see. 20. 124.46 minus 26.33, okay, divided by 26.33 times 100. We don't even need to do that. 372% since it has increased by that since when? Since since late February. So late January, or rather mid-February. It has increased by 376%. Easily, strongly bullish, easily. Well, Paul, you help Norton with he says he wants to enter puts on Boyle. It doesn't look like the best thing to do right now, even though we can actually clearly see. You just have to know what you're doing if you're going to do that. It does. You can see that it does pull back. You pull back of late. Crashed below, crashed through its 10 period moving average and got support from its 20-day moving average. And when this band, it started to rally even before the ban came to place. So, but at the same time as well, yes, you just know what you're doing. There's a good chance, even though everything says it's going to skyrocket because we have this ban, we can see that there's also a disparity. There's an incentive to sell more natural gas, from the US to Europe. In Europe, you can see what I told you, the disparity in prices. 1 million BTU is at $30 something in Europe, but it is about $8 or some fraction in US. So yeah, the incentive is there, but at the same time you have to be really careful. Well, to enter some puts, it's definitely on the cards, because it has rallied a huge amount. We can at least see as of sometime close to the end of April. Let's put it at the 29th of April. It was at 80.63. It has now gained more than 50% since that time. Naturally, you would expect this to be cooling off very soon. So puts, it's on the card, but I can't exactly tell you whether that is the case, whether that will work or not. So yeah. So you need to get Paul to give you his contact so that you can talk to him about this, man. Find a way to reach Paul. Paul will tell you how he's going to go about this, or how you can go about this. I really thank you for just bringing up this ETF. I really thank you, because yeah. So let's have a look and see some of these companies, what they're doing next decade, whether it's a publicly traded company next decade. Oops. Yeah, see, next it's publicly traded. Yes, let's see what's going on here. It's up 0.44% in this pre-market session. Let's look at its daily chart and see what's going on there. It's strongly bullish as well, and you can see that I think this happened. This is what happened when this ban took place. You can see it hasn't reached its 52-week high of $7.14. This high was achieved sometime in April, So now it's going back. It's returning. It's returning, rebounding next decade, and quite affordable. Let's see whether it's optionable. Let's see whether it's optionable. It has to be optionable. It is optionable. It is definitely optionable. Okay, Paul is saying just wait for it to move, then scalp the options. Lots of base hits don't swing from for the fences. That's what this poll is saying. Just wait for it to move, then scalp the options. Lots of base hits. Okay. That's what he's saying as it concerns Boyle. But there are also other stocks as well. You can see that Boyle has escaped tremendously. He has just left the station. But even though you can still, it has left the station since, But these other ones, I'm not saying that you should buy next right now, but it's definitely one of them all. Okay, yes. Okay, yeah, I know that's yes, it's I know PDT, yes. Yeah, just be careful about what you're doing, because it's those things can limit you a lot. But another way to go around the PDT is also you can open up another account with another broker. But I know sometimes it also means so let's see what the technicals is saying for next decade. Okay, let's bring it down to the 1 minute chart. Let's see what the technicals is saying here. So this was a couple of events. Okay, let's begin with that of May the 4th. That's Wednesday the 4th of May. Okay, for bullish events, we seem to be in a new uptrend now that the price has recovered from oversold, dropped below -80, then rose above. The opposite is true for bearish events, where we seem to be in a new downtrend now that the prices have recovered from overbought. Meanwhile, there is clear evidence that the trend has reversed, continued through the 50 level, where Williams is okay. We don't have that indicator, but it's saying here we seem to be in a new uptrend now that the prices have recovered from oversold. Okay, so let's return. Let's see the price cross above the moving average that was on Wednesday. Okay, the price is generally in an established trend, bullish or bearish, for the time horizon represented by the moving average, period 2150 and 200 bars. Moving averages are used to smooth out the volatility or noise in the price series to make it easier to discover the underlying trend, but by plotting the average price over the last several bars, the line is less jerky than plotting the actual prices. A bullish event is generated when the price crosses above the moving average, and in this state. So there are a lot of interesting things going on for this next decade. I mean, you should normally expect that will be the case, given that it is a company that is involved in building out some of this infrastructure. Okay, we have momentum here. It says for bullish events. Okay, upward momentum has just built up with the latest price now trading higher than the price 10 bars ago. The opposite is true for bearish events, and where we are seeing downward momentum now that the price is trading lower than 10 bars ago. Momentum measures the velocity of price changes. Okay. For bullish events, upward momentum has just built up, with the least price now trading higher than the. Okay, so yes, the least price on this stock is trading higher than the price 10 bars ago. So we don't have bars on this, but on this down here we can see that this is what momentum is indicating. So if you count 10 bars ago, okay, 1, I okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, would that be that one? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I think that's the 10. So it is trading above what it was 10 bars ago. So it's coinciding with this increase in momentum as well. So this, I mean, we're just, what I'm saying here is just the obvious, because this stock is it's a relevant stock. It's right in the mix of things. Okay, all right, yeah, go get coffee. Yes. No, we will find a way of getting Paul to contact you somehow, you know, or you'll be able to contact him somehow. So next decade, yes. Let's see whether there's any news concerning the stock. There isn't any news. Okay, the other stock is energy transfer. So don't forget to boop the like button now. Yes, energy transfer. Okay, it's up 1.2% as well. Let's look at the daily chart. It's also not so expensive as well. Okay, so you got strongly bullish as well. Strongly bullish. Since early this year, it's been extending. Even before the invasion occurred, it's just been rallying, and the trend is a strongly bullish one. Let's see what the news is concerning ET. No news. Is it optionable? Let's find out. Yes, optionable as well. Not so expensive as well. Even but next decade is much more expensive, much cheaper. So right now in this pre-market session, it's up 1.2%. Let's get the volumes, 12,724, and let's see what the technicals is for. You're saying something here. Short-term bearish. Okay, just flashed a short-term bearish opportunity here. Okay, it has 7 anticipated events forming right now. I think that's the short-term bearish one. It's pointed out there. Okay, engulfing line bearish. Let's see. This was as at yesterday. Okay, the recent uptrend is due to reverse now that selling pressure has overwhelmed prior buying pressure. Okay, following a clear uptrend, we see two candlesticks where the black real body of the second completely envelopes the white real body of the first, showing that the bears have taken over from the bulls. So it's a short-term bearish opportunity, but it may not be the case. It has already dropped down slightly. It has already, considered it has already retraced from 12.13 to 11.68. Currently now it's at 11.82, so that rally may not hold, and a lot of things are occurring in that space. So if one is betting against the stock ET energy transfer, you have to be really careful. Let's see what they are saying technically again. See my D, short-term bullish. Okay, plots the difference between a short-term 12 bar and a long-term 26 bar exponential moving average. Okay. Yes, we just stumbled onto the stock because of what Noel was talking about. Yes, it brought us to the energy. There's a piece we're reading here on Financial Times concerning natural gas prices and all that stuff. So moving on, we can see we're saying that the disparity creates an incentive to add more export plans. U.S. energy infrastructure companies, we've just had a look at them. Next Decade and Energy Transfer this week announced long-term gas sales contracts for 2 proposed projects in Texas and Louisiana, respectively. The US and EU recently signed an agreement in which the US would ship 50 billion cubic meters a year of added LNG to Europe by 2030, almost 50% more than the US's current export capacity. The extra LNG demand comes as US electricity consumption is on the rebound, driving domestic gas consumption, combined with sluggish production growth from shale gas fields. It has left US gas stockpiles at their lowest seasonal level in 3 years and well below the 5-year average. Investors are low, and inventories are low, and exports are high because of Ukraine, according to Andrew Gillick, energy strategist at Embarrass, a consultancy. And so prices are rising too. It's as simple as that. Consumers in the US are feeling the pinch, but for LNG, the price of Henry Hub will be $3.5 a million BTU. Okay. Okay, so some of these energy companies are trying to expand manufacturing capacity, but they have not been able to do so with this rise in natural gas prices. Fertilizer, paper, cement, and glass manufacturers are among those that are most exposed to this rising gas prices. Obviously, the biggest of them all is fertilizer. The most critical of them all is the fertilizer manufacturers. Okay, some Democratic politicians have also urged a rethink of foreign sales of gas that now flows on energy tankers, and some Democratic politicians have also urged a rethink of foreign sales of US gas that flows on LNG tankers and in pipelines to Mexico and Canada. In February, a group of senators wrote to US Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm urging her to take swift action to limit US natural gas exports. The senator said, "We understand that there are geopolitical factors and global and regional markets to consider. However, the administration must also consider the potential increase in cost to American families because of high export volumes." Analysts said that as long as Asia and European prices remain elevated, heavy gas users in the US will continue to enjoy competitive advantage. For industrial consumers, the US is still a better place than the rest of the world, according to Peter Rosenthal, head of US power and at Consultancy Energy at Consultancy Energy Aspects. Cheniere on Wednesday reported a jump in first quarter revenue as it exported a record number of cargoes in the period, 75% of them to Europe. Okay, let's see Cheniere. No, we're still waiting for your like. Okay, let's see Cheniere Energy. LNGS. All right, thanks. Okay, it's up 1.9%. Okay, this is way too, for some market participants, this is not the best. It's because of the price. It's very expensive, you know. So I think next and ET, and indeed Boyle, yes, you know, they are, no matter how you want to play it, yes. So the biggest US LNG group also raised its profit forecast for the year by almost 20%. You can see the trajectory of this stock. You know, it has, even before anything, it has just been there since December of last year. It's just been relentlessly extended. You know, it's continues to deliver on gains relentlessly. So as of December of 2000, as a matter of fact, it was at 56.56. So it's now at 100, and it has since more than doubled. So this year, not it was at 102.79. Yeah. So the biggest LNG group, which is this company, the Cheniere, has raised its profit forecast for the year by almost 20%. The US gas price surge has been good news for shale producers. Chesapeake Energy, okay, let's see. Chesapeake Energy. Okay, CHK. Okay, see that, yeah, that's same thing as well. The trajectory is a strongly bullish one. But yeah, still quite expensive. Okay, Chesapeake Energy, which went bankrupt in mid 2020, on Wednesday reported record quarterly free cash flow in the first 3 months of the year. EQT, the country's biggest producer, last week raised its cash flow guidance for the year by 50%, given the positive fundamental backdrop for natural gas prices. Let's see EQT. EQT Corporation. Okay, 42.40, that's where it's at now. Okay, strongly bullish. You can see in March it's just the stock just rose steeply, and reached 45.61 sometime in mid-April, and started to rally again given this ban. and that's just cooled off just like ET, energy transfer, and getting support from its volume weighted average price on this daily chart. So EQT, the country's biggest producer, last week raised its free cash flow guidance for the year by 50%, given the fundamental backdrop for natural gas prices. But shale gas companies have been slow to boost production despite higher commodity prices. Producers are not responding because everyone is so focused on capital discipline, said Rosenthal, who added that a COVID hangover was still causing labor shortages and late winter outages in areas such as North Dakota were also hindering drillers. So research firm Rystad Energy said publicly listed shale producers this year would increase free cash flow income left after subtracting for outflows and asset maintenance by 70% this year to a record high above $830 billion. But their capital spending will rise only 11% to $286 billion. The amount from operations reinvested by shale companies this year will be just 26% compared with more than 70% in the previous years. Okay, rising operating costs were another deterrent to a boost in supply, and as I said. So while costs are going higher, inflation is rampant, margins are going to be crushed, according to Gillick. It's not so easy to increase drilling, even if Europe needs the gas. Okay. So let's see what's going on here. Let's look at the 1 minute chart. Okay, we're looking at a couple of stocks. Let's review them and see where they are right now. Sndl, Sndl grows is just up 0.02%. So a slight improvement to where it was last time we checked. Let's look at BBIG. BBIG is up 36.96%. Obviously, the news is that if you are in possession of 10 BBIG shares by the 18th of this month, you will get one cryptide share, one cryptide common stock. So I think that's definitely the news that has seen the stock move. You can see that Vigo Ventures set date for planned business separation. Each Vinco stockholder of record as of the close of business on May 18, 2022 receive on the distribution date 1 share of cryptide common stock for every 10 shares of Vinco common stock held. After the separation, cryptide common stock is expected to trade on the Nasdaq and under the symbol TYDE, and Vinco will continue to be trading on Nasdaq as well. BBIG is also optionable. 7.23 million shares have crossed the tape. It's also a meme stock that used to have a reasonably high short interest, and that might be going up as well with this news. Okay, let's look at MULN. That's also another heavily shorted stock as well, or rather a meme stock, down 1.538%. Let's get the volumes. The volume is 1.158 million shares. I'm counting. IMPP. Okay, there's also another energy related company, just like Next Decade and ET, Energy Transfer. It's an infrastructure, or rather it's not into infrastructure, it's into transportation, crude oil transportation. So whether crude is selling or not, or has dropped completely, it will continue to make money. So it's quite a good stock, but I'm not saying you should buy it. So in the case, it's up 2.74%. There's no news. Only 347,000 shares have crossed the tape. Still a penny stock as well. I think there's also optionable. Let's find out. Yeah, optionable, yes. CETX. Chemtrex is up 1.89%. No news. Not very much has crossed the tape there. IRTC. iRhythm Technologies up 20.74%. At its earnings says iRhythm Technologies shines on upbeat forecast, Q1 beat. Okay, not very many stocks have crossed the tape yet. FNKO. FNKO Inc. up 20.28%. I think also its earnings outcomes as well. CCXI. Chemocentrics up 13.75%. I think it's also earnings as well. ENSV up 40.4%. No news. Volume is 17,546. Okay, yeah, Paul, thanks for that. Yes. Okay, so we're also hearing as well that OPEC sticks with a modest output rise despite doubts over Moscow. So OPEC and allies agreed to a modest crude output increase, even as a growing international boycott of Russian oil cast doubt on Moscow's ability to continue to meet the cartel's targets. The OPEC Plus group, which has included Russia since 2016, said yesterday it would aim to raise production by another 432,000 barrels a day in June, continuing with the monthly plan agreed in July last year to gradually replace output cut at the start of the pandemic. A day after the European Commission proposed a phased-in ban on all imports of Russian crude and refined products into EU member states by the end of the year. Brent crude, the international benchmark, rose nearly 3% yesterday to trade at more than $113 dollars a barrel before later surrendering some gains. Immediately after the invasion of Ukraine, oil rallied to a 14-year high of $113 a barrel, but then pulled back as Russian oil continued to flow. New coronavirus-induced lockdowns curbed demand in China, the world's biggest oil importer. In a statement following the meeting, the OPEC Plus group said it noted the continuing effects of geopolitical factors and issues related to the ongoing pandemic, but its outlook pointed to a balanced market. Analysts said OPEC, which was choosing to ignore the impact that the expanding boycott of Russian energy was expected to start to have on crude production in the country. So the meeting is happening in a little bit of a parallel universe, because they're having to pretend that the Russian production isn't about to fall off a cliff, according to Paul Sndl, head of commodities research at Standard Chartered. Okay, Russian oil output has already fallen from 11 million barrels per day in March to 10.1 million barrels per day over the last 19 days in April, according to research group OilX, and is expected to fall further. India in particular has significantly stepped up purchases of discounted Russian oil as Western buyers have turned away. Indian imports of Moscow's flagship Urals crude rose to 627,000 barrels per day in April from zero in February. China is also expected to increase its purchases of Russian oil, but Asian buyers will struggle to absorb all of the 2.2 million barrels per day of crude and 1.2 million barrels per day of products that Russia previously shipped to Europe. As demand for Russian crude dries up, crude is expected to further decline. So the next OPEC meeting is scheduled for June 2nd. Well, did you guys hear that Elon Musk sold about 30 something million? When was that? He sold, let's see. Okay, yes. Elon Musk, according to filings from last week, sold $8.5 billion worth of his Tesla's shares. That would have, let's see. Yeah, since April it's been declining. And the lows are getting lower and the highs also getting lower. Okay, let's look at thrown out there. So these are the ones. These are the options that will expire today. So you don't scalp these ones. You don't scalp these near. I mean, this highly. I mean, these ones that are about to expire. I can imagine maybe not. But on a volatile day, on a volatile session, during a volatile session, that will be really good. Okay, let's see. They have daily. They have this QQ. This triple Q has daily and weekly options. These are calls. On a volatile day, yes, scalping will be really good, yes. SPY is down 0.3% now. So SPY is on the move, but obviously options are not trading yet. They may be trading, but we don't have access to that. SPY up 0.13. Let's see, Invesco Nasdaq 100 ETF. So we're counting down to the open. We have 58 minutes. Yeah, it spiked, did. Yes, it did. No news yet. Okay, let's have a look at Sndl. Down 0.06%. Don't expect to find any news. What are the technicals saying about Sndl? Short-term bullish opportunity, fast stochastic. Its momentum is improving on the stock, so there's a short-term bullish opportunity. BBIG. Up 36.58%. We all know the news. Momentum strongly bullish. RSI is also indicating that buyers are still very much in control. Let's see what the technicals are saying. Intermediate term bearish, that was yesterday, but that's definitely not taking into cognizance what has happened today. The news, the price is generally in an established trend for the time horizon represented by the moving average period. Okay, moving averages are used to. Okay, so short-term bearish, but anybody that best bet against that, maybe at a loss as things stand right now. Well, at the same time as well, it may also retrace when the market opens. You may also lose some of these gains in hands run up, or it may continue to rally further. MULN. Okay, down 0.76, optionable as well. The spreads are not wonderful for BBIG. The spreads on the options. Up 3.29%. That's IMPP. CETX. Chemtrax is up 0.5%. No news. Not optionable. IRTC, Rhythm Technologies, up to 1.49% on positive earnings outcomes, optionable as well. Spreads on this May 20 calls, they don't look good. Spread between the bid and the ask, they don't look impressive. FNKO, up to 1.05%, same as well, same news, earnings outcomes. Optionable as well. CCXI, concentrics up 12.02%. I think it's NN's news as well. 122,000 shares so far. ENSV up 4.6%. So there are other stocks that are also in the move. Let's see, OPEN, Open Door Technologies, up 17.2%. I think it's NN's news as well. NN's, yes. Is Open Door, is it optionable? Yes, optionable as well. Hyzon, HYZN. Hyzon Motors up 3.85%. I think it's also NN's as well. GDYN. Grid Dynamics up 6.05%. Momentum is flat. It's been flat for some time now. RSI is not even though it's poor, but not as flat as the RSI. So not as flat as the 14 period slow stochastic oscillator. TWST. Twist Bioscience is down 4.98%. ATEC. Yeah, hopefully when the market opens, BBIG should still remain positive. Hopefully, ATEC is up 9.18%. VRAY. VRAY Inc. up is unchanged. AVLR. Avalara Inc. up 2.89%. Progeny Inc. Up 2.09%. Genpact Limited is up 7.75%. PLYA, Clear Hotels and Restaurants, is up 9.45%. TPI Composites Inc. up 8.33%. Prestige Consumer is unchanged. Sndl is down 0.11%. So apparently, a lot of companies are raising concerns concerning the new round of COVID-19 outbreaks and the lockdowns. Several multinationals, including Starbucks, Estee Lauder, Apple, and Coca-Cola, have raised the alarm about the effect of the lockdown, saying it will eat into their revenues in the world's largest consumer market. Zero tolerance doesn't work because the world has learned to live with COVID, and China has to change the strategy. That's what they're saying. The predictability of the Chinese market is gone. That was the strength of China. The policy was always rational. This new dimension is like whack-a-mole. China's fence shifting on Russia's invasion of Ukraine was also affecting the sentiment of businesses. So we're counting down roughly 40 minutes before the market opens. $11 million shares of cross the tape. It's going to be a heavy session for BBIG, no doubt. Hopefully some of these prices will change. Till the ask is 320, 3.2, the bid is 1.2, 1. Who knows what's going to happen today? Let's see. S&P futures is at 4128. It's been moving sideways for some time now, rather declining for some time now. 4126. $4127, gradually trying to inch up. Been oversold for some time. Still selling off. Let's see what the news is. We're nowhere near the bottom. Top economist says as global markets crater. We've seen a big recession and they're making top CEOs frying the worst in Europe. Russia renews assault on Azovstal steel plant ahead of a victory day. Ukraine says evacuation on the way. Ice cream freezers to get warmed up in trial for Ben & Jerry's owners. Bitcoin drops below 36,000 amid broader market sell-off. Wall Street likes these defensive stocks, especially during sell-off. All-out war on Ukraine. Putin can be gearing up for something big on May 9th. Scientists are hoping to grow coral reefs at the base of wind tunnels in Taiwan. Stock futures are down slightly after Thursday's sell-off. April jobs report. Now it's time for a reappreciation of the economic fundamentals around the world in terms of growth, according to Brunello Rossa and Rubini. Okay, it's hard for markets to be totally optimistic when inflation is going up, growth is going down, and interest rates are rising fast across the globe. Okay, stock markets are set for more heavy selling this summer as central banks around the world ramp up interest rates to try to combat spiraling inflation, according to one economist. The CEO and head of research at Rossa and Rubini, a consultancy co-founded alongside well-known market bear Noria Rubini. Okay, we cover a lot of his videos. We cover Noria Rubini's opinions on this channel a lot. So he believes there is much more monetary tightening to come from central banks and more bad news on economic activity. Now it's time for reappreciation of the economic fundamentals around the world. Okay, it's hard for markets to be totally optimistic when inflation is going up, growth is going down, and interest rates are rising fast across the globe. The Dow plunged at more than 1,000 points on Thursday. The Nasdaq fell 5%, raising a rally on Wednesday. Initial relief over the U.S. Federal Reserve's ruling. Out of more aggressive rate increases seemingly gave way to fears that a sharp hiking cycle in order to rein in red-hot inflation could harm economic growth. Rossa said investors initially welcomed the news that the 75 basis point hike is off the table, but he warned that this means there will be several 50 basis points increases over the next few months. He also said that the Bank of England, the only central bank currently being realistic, after policymakers in London Thursday warned of recession risks in the UK economy is facing. It's clear that all the central banks are talking tough at this stage, but the reality is that lots of tightening will eventually lead to economic contraction. Yeah, that's the aim, to contract and cool off the economy. Wall Street set to drop. Worst day for Dow, Nasdaq since 2020. Job growth accelerates in April. Non-farm payrolls better than expected. Oil jumps as EU considers Russian crude sanctions. Bitcoin since FDA limits use of Johnson & Johnson's COVID vaccine over blood clotting risks. Under Armour sinks after issuing weak guidance. Expected loss. So market opens in about 29 minutes. Okay, BBIG is losing some of the gains. Sndl is down 0.17. IMPP up 3.29%. MULN is down 3.05%. CETX down 3.55%. IRTC is up 21.06%. FNKO Inc. is up 20.69%. CCXI is up 11.89%. ENSV up, rather down 0.3%. Yeah, the ETF is triple QM is down 0.96. Momentum is flat, but RSI is also is indicating some strength. Yeah, it's going to be. It's there's indication that it might be a. Okay. See, this is the S&P futures declining. There, market participants, the one volatility. Okay, thank you, Paul and Noel, and hopefully I'll come back again before the market closes or thereabout, or during the session, to update you all. And so thank you all very much for joining this live session. Expect me very soon again.